Snap Selling, Speed Up Sales and Win More Business with Today's Frazzled Customers by Jill Konrath. Picture yourself walking into the most important meeting of your young career. You're about to meet Mr. Chronic, the company president. He's a short guy, not exactly Mr. Congeniality. After a quick, firm handshake, he locks eyes with you and says, "You've got 5 minutes. Talk." Your mind goes blank. "But, sir," you stammer, "I can't possibly understand all your needs in just 5 minutes." He doesn't even blink. Just points to his desk where you spot a small wooden sand timer. He flips it over. When the sand runs out, you're done. Your heart races. Blood drains from your face. You start word vomiting about your company, your products, your services, anything and everything. But all you can see are those tiny grains of sand, slipping away faster and faster. When that last grain falls, he stands up, offers another handshake, and says, "Thanks for coming in. I need to get back to work." Just like that, you're shown the door. Here's the thing. This actually happened to Jill Konrath, the author of the book we're exploring today. And that blunt, impatient Mr. Chronic? He's not some dinosaur from the past. He's every single one of your customers today. We're living in a world packed with people like Mr. Chronic. Everyone's overwhelmed, overscheduled, and drowning in information. They don't have 5 minutes for you anymore. They have 5 seconds. And in those 5 seconds, they're deciding whether to listen or hit delete. But what if there's a secret language these crazy busy people actually understand? A hidden set of rules that can turn a 5-second glance into a 5-minute meeting. And that meeting into a partnership that lasts? Today, we're cracking that code. By the end of this, you'll have a complete blueprint for not just surviving in this chaotic world, but for becoming the one person these frazzled customers actually want to talk to. Welcome to the world of snap selling. Let's start with a brutally honest letter, written from your customer's point of view. Imagine it landing on your desk right now. It reads, "Dear seller, I've only got a few minutes, but I hear you want to sell me something. Here's what you don't understand about my life. I got to the office early today, hoping for some peace and quiet. By 9 a.m., my boss dropped a headcount reduction plan on my desk. Revenue's down. Then engineering tells me our new product won't be ready for the big trade show. Sales is going to lose their minds. Right now, I'm staring at about 59 hours of work. I get over 150 emails daily. On top of that, about 30 phone calls from sellers like you. I stick with the status quo as long as humanly possible, even when I hate it. Why? Because change means more work on my already overflowing plate. So let me be straight with you. I don't care about your product. The second you start talking about your innovative solutions or your award-winning services, I'm done. Mentally and digitally deleted. But here's the thing. Every once in a while, a smart seller actually captures my attention. They don't pitch me. They focus entirely on my business and the real impact they can have. If you help me achieve my objectives, I'll give you all the time you need. Make sense? I hope so, because I'm already late for another meeting. Best regards, your frazzled customer. This letter is everything. The people we want to help are suffering from what Konrath calls frazzled customer syndrome. It's brought on by crushing workloads, being available 24/7, and constant stress. When they ignore your calls, they're not being rude. They're just trying to survive. They're forgetful because their brains are juggling a dozen things at once. They're demanding because time is their most precious resource. And they're easily distracted, scrolling through their phone, even while you're mid-presentation. The old-school sales tactics, the clever objection-handling tricks, the always-be-closing approach. They don't just fail with these customers. They actively annoy them and waste their time. When you use those outdated methods, you get banished to what Konrath calls the dreaded D-zone. It's where your sales get delayed or derailed, where you get dismissed or deleted, where your prospects straight up disappear. So how do you escape the D-zone and get into the go zone, where you're still in the game and actually have a shot? You need to understand the 4 secret criteria every frazzled customer is using to judge you, whether they know it or not. This is the heart of everything, the snap factors. S is for simple. In a world drowning in complexity, simplicity is your superpower. Frazzled customers are constantly calculating how much effort a decision will take. If your message confuses them, if your process seems complicated, if your solution looks like a nightmare to implement, you're out. Their question, how easy is this? N is for iNvaluable. Notice that capital N? In a world of cookie-cutter products, the only truly unique thing you can offer is you. Your expertise, your insights, your ideas. Frazzled customers want to work with sharp, savvy people who bring real value in every single interaction. Their question, is this person worth my time? Do they bring something I can't get anywhere else? A is for aligned. You must be relevant to what your customer's trying to accomplish right now. If you start talking features before understanding their challenges, you're just noise. There's no middle ground. You're either aligned with their goals or your background static. And they're experts at tuning out static. Their question, is this aligned with my top priorities? Finally, P is for priority. In our constantly shifting business world, your customers' priorities can change overnight. Yesterday's critical project becomes today's nice to have. If you're not helping with something urgent and important, you're going on the back burner. And in their world, the back burner is where opportunities go to die. Their question, does this need to be dealt with now? Simple, iNvaluable, aligned, priority, snap. These 4 factors are the gatekeepers. Every email you send, every voicemail you leave, every meeting you hold gets judged against them. Your job isn't to sell a product. Your job is to make your interactions so simple, so valuable, so aligned, and so urgent that the customer actually wants to move forward with you. Now, this might sound like a lot to remember, but Konrath gives us a practical framework for applying these factors. She explains that every sale, regardless of size, isn't just one decision. It's 3 separate and distinct decisions your customer makes. When you understand these 3 decisions, you can apply the snap factors at exactly the right moments to guide them along. Let's walk through them. The first decision, to allow access. This is square one. Your prospect is completely oblivious. They have zero interest in connecting with you. They're just trying to survive their day. Your goal here isn't to make a sale. It's simply to move them from oblivious to curious. You're just trying to earn a conversation. This is where most people crash and burn spectacularly. They send emails and leave voicemails filled with what Konrath calls self-promoting puffery, technical tripe, and creative crap. Words like innovative, leading edge, robust, synergy, and paradigm shift. To a frazzled customer, these words are giant red flags, screaming, "I'm a salesperson about to waste your time." They hit delete before you even get to your point. So what should you do instead? You need to craft a message that's actually impossible to ignore, and it follows a simple 3-part formula. First, establish credibility. Reference a referral, mention your research on their company, or cite a recent trigger event like a new product launch, a merger, or a rough quarterly report. This immediately shows you've done your homework. You're not just another random seller. You've invested time in them. This buys you another 5 seconds. Second, spark their curiosity. This is where you use a powerful, outcome-focused value proposition. A value proposition isn't about what your product is. It's about the tangible results customers get from using it. It answers their unspoken question, why should I care? A great value proposition has 3 parts. A business driver, something they actually care about like revenue or market share. Movement, a verb like increase, reduce, or accelerate. And a metric, a specific number. For example, instead of saying, we sell innovative marketing software, you say, we help retailers increase their online sales conversion rates by up to 58%. Instead of, we offer cost-effective document management, you say, we help distributors reduce their order processing costs by an average of 67.2%. See the difference? One's a pitch, the other's a result. One gets deleted, the other makes them lean in and think, tell me more. Third, close for the next step. And make it tiny. You're not asking for an hour-long meeting. You're simply suggesting a brief, non-threatening conversation. Let's set up a time to talk about this. I'll give you a call tomorrow morning to find a spot on the calendar. This entire message, whether it's an email or voicemail, should take no more than 30 seconds to deliver. It's simple. It's aligned with their potential business needs. It hints at your value. And if you've tied it to a trigger event, it feels like a priority. Now, what happens when they actually respond? What happens when you get them on the phone and they say those magic words, "Tell me more"? This is another critical moment. Most salespeople hear, "Tell me more," and immediately launch into a monologue about their company's history, their full range of services, their unique methodologies. Wrong move. When a frazzled customer says, "Tell me more," they're not asking about you. They're asking, "How did you get those results you just mentioned?" Your response should be a short, powerful success story, a mini case study. You expand on the issue, talk about a similar customer and their struggles, briefly mention how your solution helped them achieve a specific outcome, and then, this is crucial, you engage them with a question. Recently, we worked with a large media company struggling to get meetings with national advertisers. We helped them develop a new approach, and 87% of their reps got meetings within 2 months. So tell me, how's your team doing with new customer acquisition? Is it more challenging this year than last? You've expanded, you've told a story, and you've turned the spotlight back on them. You haven't sold anything. You've started a conversation. And with that, you've successfully guided them through the first decision. You've earned access. The second decision, to initiate change. You've made it past the gatekeeper. You've got a meeting. But now you're facing an even bigger competitor. It's not another company. It's the status quo. Newton's law of inertia applies perfectly here. A body at rest tends to stay at rest. Your customer's business is at rest, even if it's a messy, inefficient, expensive state of rest. They're used to it. Any change, even positive change, is disruptive. It means more work, more meetings, more risk. Your job in this stage is to move them from complacent to committed. You need to help them see that the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing. This is where so many salespeople blow it. They think this is their moment to finally do their big presentation. They whip out their 50-slide PowerPoint deck, stuffed with bullet points and corporate logos, and proceed to bore their prospect into a coma. Konrath is crystal clear. Kiss your PowerPoints goodbye. A PowerPoint presentation is a crutch. It turns you into a mindless drone reading slides while your prospect checks email under the table. Instead, your goal is to create what she calls a rich, compelling experience. You need to have a $500 an hour conversation. And you do that by shifting your role from salesperson to business improvement specialist. You need to lead, you need to guide, you need to challenge their thinking. One of the best ways to do this is with what she calls the closing the gap strategy. You stand up, go to a whiteboard or flip chart, and draw 3 columns. On the left you write today, on the right you write future, in the middle you draw a cloud and write the gap. Then you facilitate a conversation. You say, let's talk about where you are today. What's working, what's not, what are your biggest frustrations? And you write it all down. Then you move to the future. In a perfect world, 12 months from now, what would this look like? What are the key objectives you need to achieve? And you capture that too. Now you've got 2 different realities on the board, the often painful present and the desirable future. The gap between them is now visible and tangible. And that gap is where the urgency for change lives. Your product or service is the bridge across that gap. Throughout this process, you're asking smart, prepared questions. Not rookie questions like, what keeps you up at night? But expert questions showing you understand their world. You might say, in my work with other companies in your industry, a key challenge I've seen is, how's your team handling that? You're not just asking questions. You're sharing insights. You're teaching. You're being iNvaluable. You also need to be the one who brings up the tough stuff. You talk about risks. You ask about internal politics. You say things like, who's not going to be happy with this change? What resistance are we likely to face? This might feel backward. Why would you bring up obstacles? Because your honesty in raising these issues actually minimizes their power and simultaneously builds massive trust. You're not just trying to close a deal. You're helping them navigate the complex reality of making organizational change. You're making the decision simpler by illuminating the path forward. You're also constantly looking for ways to add value. Maybe you send them an article about an industry trend. Maybe you introduce them to another professional who can help with an unrelated problem. You become an everyday value creator. By leading these conversations, by making the problem and the path forward crystal clear, you're helping them build the business case for change themselves. When they see the gap, when they understand the costs of doing nothing, when they feel confident you can guide them through the complexities, they make that second decision. They commit, they say, the status quo is no longer acceptable, we have to do something. And now you enter the final stage. The third decision, to select resources. They've decided to change. This is the moment you've been building toward. But the game changes again. Your prospect is no longer thinking, should we change? They're now thinking, who should we change with? And suddenly you've got serious competition. There's the incumbent vendor, now wide awake and willing to do anything to keep the business. There are your traditional competitors, who all look and sound pretty similar. There might even be an internal team wanting to tackle it themselves. At this stage, your prospect's primary emotion is fear. Fear of making a bad decision. Fear of choosing the wrong partner. Fear that the project will tank, cost too much, or make them look terrible. Their main concern is minimizing risk. Your job is to move them from being open to all their options to being certain that you're the best and safest choice. How do you pull this off? First, keep acting as their decision guide. Help them create the evaluation criteria. You could even create a competitive checklist for them, a simple grid listing all the important factors, and help them fill in your column. You say, here are the key things you should ask every vendor. Let me show you how we stack up, and you can use this to compare everyone else. You're not trash-talking the competition, you're educating the customer on making a smart choice. You're simplifying their complex evaluation process. Second, you need to stand out as the person they actually want to work with. Remember, when products and services look similar, people buy from people they trust and like. You differentiate yourself by collaborating with them, as if they're already a customer. Imagine you're asked to give a final presentation to their executive team. Most salespeople would create another boring PowerPoint about their company. Instead, you walk in and say, all the standard information about our company is in this handout. We can discuss that later if you'd like, but what we'd really like to do today is start working on your challenge. Based on our conversations, here are a few key issues we've identified and some initial ideas on how we could tackle them. You turn the presentation into a collaborative working session. You start solving the problem right there in the room. They don't just hear about working with you. They experience it. This is how you become irresistible. They see you not as a vendor but as a partner. And finally, you must be ruthlessly honest and transparent. Be truthful, even when it's hard. If you spot a flaw in their plan, point it out. If you think their budget's unrealistic, tell them. If you believe your solution isn't the perfect fit for one part of their problem, admit it. This candor builds unshakable trust. In a world of overpromising salespeople, the truth teller is a rare and invaluable asset. When you make the process simple, when you align with their business case, when you keep the project a priority, and most importantly, when you've proven yourself to be an invaluable, trustworthy expert they want to work with, that third decision becomes easy for them. They choose you. And it's not because you had the lowest price or the flashiest features. It's because you understood their frazzled world, you guided them through 3 critical decisions, and you proved at every step that you were the simplest, most valuable, most aligned, and safest choice they could possibly make. You didn't just sell them something, you helped them buy. When you step back and look at the core message of Snap selling, It's deceptively simple. It's a reminder that, in an age of incredible technological complexity, the most powerful sales tool we have is profound, human-centered simplicity. What Jill Konrath nailed with this book was giving a name and structure to a shift many of us were feeling but couldn't quite put into words. The world got faster, busier, more distracted, and the old ways of getting people's attention simply stopped working. Shouting louder wasn't the answer. The answer was understanding the psychology of the overwhelmed mind and adapting to it. The true genius of the SNAP framework is that it's not a tactic, it's a philosophy. It's an empathy-based approach to business. It forces you to stop thinking about your own goals, your quota, your commission, and start thinking exclusively about your customer's world. What makes their life harder? What makes it easier? What are they truly trying to achieve? How can I help? The 3 decisions model is another stroke of brilliance. It breaks down the messy, non-linear sales process into a clear, manageable journey. It gives you a map. It tells you where you are, where you need to go next, and what your role is at each stage. In the beginning, you're a curiosity creator. In the middle, you're a change agent. At the end, you're a trusted guide. Your job description evolves as your customers' needs change. But for me, the most powerful lesson in this book is the emphasis on being iNvaluable. The idea that in a commoditized world, you are the differentiator. Your products can be copied, your prices can be beaten, but your expertise, your integrity, and your commitment to your customers' success can't be replicated. This is an incredibly empowering idea, especially if you're just starting your career. It means your success isn't dependent on having the flashiest product or the biggest marketing budget. It depends on your willingness to learn, to become an expert in your customer's world, and to genuinely, generously help them. So how can you start applying this today? Here are a couple of simple actions. First, the next time you write an important email, do a quick snap check before hitting send. Is the message simple and easy to understand in under 30 seconds? Is it aligned with something you know is a priority for the recipient? Does it offer some form of value or insight, making you seem invaluable? Just this small act of filtering your communication through the SNAP lens can dramatically improve your results. Second, try to identify one trigger event this week. It could be something happening at school, in a club you're in, or even in your family. A new project gets announced, a problem pops up, a goal changes. Think about how that event shifts priorities. Just practicing the art of spotting these catalysts will train your brain to see opportunities where others only see noise. Snap selling is more than a sales book. It's a guide to effective communication in the 21st century. It teaches us that the way to be heard in a noisy world isn't to be louder, but to be more relevant, more helpful, and more human. That was a deep dive into the core ideas of snap selling by Jill Konrath. We've covered the highlights today, but here's the truth. A summary can only take you so far. The real magic happens when you hold the book in your hands. It's in those quiet moments when a particular story or simple phrase connects with you in a way you didn't expect. This conversation is designed to help you decide if this book deserves your time and attention. If anything we've talked about today has sparked your curiosity, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning tactics. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you approach every interaction, in your career and in your life. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and it gave you a new way to think, please do me a small favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep learning and growing together.